kind of shape those later. So just to get started, you're going to want to center your first ball and just throw a cylinder. What I have is LB6, it's Laguna's LB6. I like to use this one because it's got a lot of grog in it, so it gives you some extra stability when you are ready to stack. You can also do this with porcelain or V-Mix. I just like to let those two clay bodies set up and dry before I go to stack them, but this one here is pretty indestructible. And I did wedge both of these quite a bit before getting on the wheel. The more you wedge, I think the easier centering is going to be for you. I'm just going to make a hole like I normally would. Pushing down on my thumb here with my right fist. That's what I tend to do with larger balls of clay. And then I'm going to pull this open and really take note of how wide I go, because that's going to be important for your next piece. So this one, you do want to establish your floor here, so make sure you test it before you decide you're finished and ready to pull. So pin tool can be nice for those of you that need a measurement. I'd say this is good, if you can see that. So now I'm ready to pull my walls up. It's really important that as I begin to pull that I don't let the lip get really thin. So I'm doing my pull for height here, and I'm stopping my pull right here. I'm not going to follow through and thin out the lip because I'm going to need that later for stacking. I got a little wobble here. I'm not going to let that faze me. These square bats can be a pain sometimes. Probably what's causing it. I'm really just pulling how I normally would. So I have my right hand pushing into my left like this. I do start out at the bottom by grabbing onto the clay at the base where the floor and the wall meet. So I've maximized all the clay that I have here. So I'm going to start to get the lip ready for stacking. So one final pull to just tidy it up. Now I'm ready to do the lip. So I need to create a well here to fit the other cylinder into. So one of these wooden knives will do if you have one. If you're stuck at home right now, not able to get your hands on one of these, I think a kitchen knife will do just fine. Anything you can use to just kind of dig into the lip. So I'm going to find the middle of the lip and just start making a indentation. I'm not going super deep, say I went about to here for depth, and now I'm gonna get my finger in here and just kind of widen it out. So I got my hand wet and made the well a little wider, because you don't want a super tiny well, because that's going to be trickier for you to fit the other cylinder into. So this guy is done for now. I'm going to set it to the side and throw my other cylinder. My other cylinder is not going to have a floor because it's not necessary, because that's going to be the top of the piece. So taking this guy off, I'm going to set that to the side. And I'm ready for my second one. Plunging again like I normally would, but this time I'm going to go straight into the bottom of this piece. I'm not leaving a floor. Notice I got a little wobble here, so I'm just going to recenter it. I'm actually throwing on a slant right now. We moved my wheel outside so you guys could see better, because my studio is not well lit. So the floor is on a slant, so I'm kind of working with what I got. Right, so I'm now going to pull a cylinder, but you'll notice I did go straight through the back here. And as I pull, I'm going to be widening out the base. Just pulling that right up. This time I'm not as concerned with the lip. I'm okay with that getting a little bit thinner. I'm just going in on the inside, grabbing that excess with my left hand, feeding it into my outside hand, and then my hands are following the clay up. Now, as you guys start to throw larger forms, it's important that you keep the clay wet so that your hands continue to glide. So put your hand over the top of the lip and just wet your hand so that it coats it evenly with water. So there's nothing worse than throwing something large and getting your hand caught later. So as I'm pulling, I'm just taking a mental note of the width of my last piece. I can adjust that later, but I do want it to be somewhere close to what I had. So I'm not really thinning out the base like super thin because otherwise it would pop off the bat. I'm leaving a little bit of excess weight at the bottom so that it will continue to stick. So I want to say there's probably about an inch worth of clay at the bottom widthwise. So now I need to measure the well from my first piece and make sure that my second piece fits inside. So I'm using my calipers here. If you don't have calipers, just use the width of your hand. I've done this before. You can also use a ruler. Calipers are good too though. So this I'm super close with. Looks like I need to widen the lip a little. So I'm just gonna open that. I'm gonna push with my inside hand. Check it again, but I'm gonna measure my calipers again because they tend to move sometimes. They're not locked. You really want the lip to fit smack dab in the middle of that well. So I think I'm okay with this. It's looking pretty good. Always good to double check. Yep. All right, so now I'm going to put my first piece back on the wheel and stack this one on top. This can be a little nerve-wracking for some of you that have never done this before. If you haven't done this before, sometimes you gotta try it a couple of times before you can get it to work. So there's that first piece. Now I'm going to take the second piece and flip it upside down and fit it into the crevice. So just grab onto your bat and be confident about it. Just flip her upside down. Check all the sides. It's looking pretty good. And now I'm going to cut the first or the second piece off, as this one wants to. And we got to do this again.